your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come on, and welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you here on this Thursday from hole number 6 here at the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios. Dustin Schutte sitting in as always. Sir, how are you?
I'm doing well, Jim. How are you?
Cannot complain. We've made it almost through the week here on this Thursday. Plenty of action yesterday, man. Basketball, football, NFL, afternoon delight, even NFL football, 3:40 in the afternoon. I was so busy because of the other stuff, I forgot about it, and I tuned in like the last minute of that game.
Yeah, I didn't see any of it because we had a smorgasbord of college basketball and so many other things going on. It's, for all the time we had without sports, it's so nice to be able to have a full week where you just turn on the television and you get NFL, college football, college basketball. The NBA is going to be coming back soon. So if you're a sports fan, this has been a great time, a great month, and it's only going to continue to get better because we're getting closer to, the Big Ten championship week. We're getting close to the college football championship games, and college basketball is picking back up. It's so much fun right now.
Of course, basketball, you mentioned Indiana in action yesterday, and a big game because they were coming back off of a massive loss to a Texas team that is pretty dang on good, apparently. They handled North Carolina yesterday, but it was important to see how Indiana responded to that defeat, how they came back, and I'd say that's the response you want to see. Indiana came back with a win, but not only the win, it was how they played the game. It was how they attacked. Trace Jackson Davis with a career high in points. That's what you want to see. Fight is the word. Yeah. And funny. We're gonna play this clip in a minute. We'll get the Archie clip ready. Archie Miller talking about the game, but when I was listening to it, do you know what he said? Well, you don't, because you're gonna hear it. But as a matter of fact, I'm gonna let it play, and then I'm gonna ask you afterwards what stood out in that little bitty clip there. So, Will, if you want to go ahead and roll, this is Archie Miller talking about yesterday's win over Stanford.
Well, one, I mean, I've said this before. We have a no maintenance group. It wasn't like we at the end of the game. The sky's falling everywhere else, but our team was fine, and we have a high character group that likes one another. And to be quite honest with you, Trace needed to get lit up. I mean, he needed to get going, and we're not going to be where we need to be unless he plays at a really extremely high level. And he answered the bell today, and I think I was proud of him. And just in general, though, I thought our guys, they didn't blink. We prepared in a very, last night late, up early in the morning. And I thought our guys did a great job of just kind of, coming back. It means something to them right now to win. They like playing with one another. They like being around one another. It's an easy group to be around. And, when you're in this type of situation in these tournaments, seen it 1,000 times, you get exposed to a lot of things you weren't ready for. And for our team, we got punched good in the mouth. And to be able to get back up and respond and get better and deal with it the way we did, it shows that I think it's what you're going to need this type of season.
That's Archie Miller talking about Indiana's win over Stanford yesterday, but something really stood out in that clip to me, Dustin, when I listened to it the first time. I don't know if you caught that or not.
Well, there were about 3 things that caught my attention, but his repeated, high maintenance group, it's a good group to be around. That stands out to me personally, just because it kind of goes back to maybe he didn't have guys on this team for his first couple of years that were all bought in or that were only concerned about their own statistics or whatever the case might be. That's what stood out to me. But, obviously the Trace Jackson Davis comment was interesting as well, him needing to get lit up and having him respond. So those were the 2 things that stand out to me. But did I hit the nail on the head there, or did I miss what you were talking about?
Well, the one thing that jumped out to me big time was we don't blink.
Okay.
As soon as he said that, I was like, little Tom Allen leaking into the Indiana basketball locker room. Seriously, because That's just, I heard that. That's the first thing I thought, because he started talking about that, and then he started talking about his players liking playing with each other.
Yeah.
That's Tom Allen leaking in. You may not want to believe that, but I promise you, that's working in the Indiana football locker room. And if you don't believe that, I don't know what to tell you there. But I would assure you that is leaking over. It's almost impossible not to. I mean, when success is falling, when it's just running around like water into sewer grates, man, it's just going everywhere. It's kind of hard not to let some of it splash on you.
Yeah, and that's a really smart move by Archie to, obviously we don't know what actually happened there, but to make that concerted effort to say what's working, what are you doing that's making the difference? How do you get your team to gel? I've had problems with this. So for them to collaborate, and I don't know if anybody's read, I'm not going to remember the title of it, but Bob Knight's book, the Power of Negative Thinking or something to that extent, there is a section in there dedicated to, he and the Indiana football coach at the time, I don't remember who it was, they used to talk quite a bit about these sort of things and what worked on the basketball floor and what was happening in the football locker room and that sort of stuff. So that stuff does happen. So if that's the case, if Archie Miller did go to Tom Allen and say, hey, I'm having trouble in this area, you seem to be doing it right. What do I need to do? What does our team need to do to be able to gel together and not have these high maintenance players on our team? And you saw, Indiana could have rolled over yesterday after a 22-point loss to Texas. They came back, they fought hard, and you know what? I thought the biggest thing was in that second half. They had a 10-point lead. Stanford cut it to 3, and that was the end of the road. Indiana turned the heat back on, and they closed out games, and that's something they've struggled with in the past. When a team makes a run, sometimes they've had trouble fending it off, but they were able to do that yesterday, so it was a big step in the right direction for Indiana.
Well, especially after the game against Texas, because it left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. But it wasn't just losing; it was how they were losing. They were being manhandled, and they basically got punched in the mouth. And that's a phrase everybody's used, but it's an easy one because Mike Tyson has made the greatest analogy ever. He said everybody's got a great plan until you get punched in the mouth, and it's true. But it's how you come back from that punch in the face. Do you just stumble back onto your heels and wander around? And that is what they did against Texas. They never came back. They didn't come back with fight, and they were just stumbled. And that's okay because it's early in the season. You got a lot of young guys out there, and they responded how you wanted them to respond yesterday. Not only with a win, but with fight, with play, with getting after it. Trace Jackson-Davis career high, 31 points. That's what you want to see. Now, he needs some help. You need to see some other guys with that same attitude, that same I'm going to fight you to the death every day attitude. But that you got to bring that every game. You can't pick and choose when to bring it, when you think you're going to win, and it's got to be every night. And that's the difference between mediocre teams and elite teams.
Well, the thing that stood out to me through these first couple games, and you saw it in game 1, was Race Thompson. To me, and obviously there are people out there who follow Indiana basketball, yourself included, a lot closer than I do because most of my work comes on the football field. But Indiana, to me, has lacked like an emotional leader. Like you always see these really good teams have a guy who maybe isn't the biggest scorer, but he's just in there. He's just scrappy. And for the longest time, like Indiana used to thrive. They used to have 2 or 3 of those guys, and that's why they were so good. And those were the guys that, if they're on your team, you love them. If they're on the opposing team, you absolutely hate them. And for so many years, Indiana had so many of those guys, and they've lacked having some of those guys recently, especially under Archie. So I think Race Thompson can be that guy because he can score a lot of points, but he doesn't need to. He can go in and he can grab you 10 to 15 rebounds and he'll be just fine doing that. So they need an emotional leader. And I think there's some real leadership in that locker room because, as you said, this wasn't a game coming off that 22-point loss to Texas. This wasn't a game where you had a week or 3 days to kind of rinse that bad taste out of your mouth. You had to bounce back immediately the next day. And with a young team, sometimes that's really hard to do, especially just a couple games into the season. So I think that some of these things with having an emotional leader on the floor, with having leadership in the locker room, not just from the coaching staff, but from the players, I think you're starting to see Archie Miller get what he wants out of his players. And obviously we'll see what happens. Indiana's been really good in non-conference play in the past, and then they kind of flop in Big Ten play, so it's still early. But I think you saw some really good things, even though they got their doors blown off by Texas in that second game.
Yeah, and that's okay. Like I said, it's the early season and it's learning experience, big time learning experience for them. But how you respond and move forward. Now you've got a week off. You've got time to prepare.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know where that's coming from. I hope you all can't hear that.
I got nothing.
Okay, good. Because I can hear something in my headphones, but that's all right. It was something else playing. But Florida State up next, and a team that is another formidable opponent, but it's going to be a good barometer of where this team goes from this point forward to next week, and that's going to be critical for this basketball team.
And let's talk about this too a little bit, because this is good for Indiana to have some of these tests, to play teams like Providence, Texas, Stanford, and then Florida State and whoever else they might have on the non-conference schedule. I don't have it in front of me. But the Big Ten is going to be so deep, top to bottom. It's going to be really good, win or lose, for Indiana to get some of those tough opponents and understand what it's going to be like in the Big Ten, because there are going to be no easy games this season. I mean, we've looked, I think there's only 4 losses in the Big Ten through like 25 games or whatever the total is right now. So every week it's going to be a fight. And I think that's really good for Indiana to get some of these early opponents, teams like Texas, teams like Florida State, and say, hey, this is what it's going to be like all season. We have to toughen up, and we got to start now, because when Big Ten play rolls around, we're not going to have a week or a game where we can just roll over. And you have a bad night, and anybody in this league can beat you.
Absolutely. We saw one of those teams last night, Illinois, who we thought was they are the high runaway leader. I think it's the strongest team in the league. But man, they took on a Baylor team that battled, but Baylor looked even better.
Oh my! When Baylor turned up the defensive heat there in the second half, it was like they just flipped a switch. Like they allowed Illinois to just kind of hang around, and then all of a sudden they're like, okay, you know what? Now we're going to turn up the defensive intensity. And man, they pulled away, didn't allow Illinois to get back into the game. That was a really good game for about 30 minutes. And then the final 10, like I said, Baylor looked head and shoulders above Illinois. And that's kind of a scary thought. You know, I know Illinois didn't play its best there down the stretch, but when you consider how good Illinois is and the players that they have, to see them get manhandled in the final 10 minutes, Baylor looked like the number 2 team in the country. They looked like a Final Four team. So that's going to be a team to keep an eye on, because they were really fun to watch, especially those last 10 minutes.
Absolutely. Hey, we got a lot more coming up today. Brendan Sweeney from French Lick Golf Resort's going to join us. We're going to talk to CJ Moore from The Athletic, more on a little bit of Indiana basketball. And we've got a lot of Indiana football to talk about, too, as they've got a gigantic game coming up, Dustin, with Wisconsin that, for all practical purposes, could be for the Big Ten East Championship for Indiana. We have to wait to see, because there's so much going on. Michigan, did they cancel their game yesterday? I think their game is canceled. So, and you've got, is that the foreshadowing to canceling the last game with Ohio State? Because there is no way Jim Harbaugh and Michigan can want to play a game that, you know, not only did they say they're going to hang 100 on you, which means they want to destroy you.
Right.
They're so much superior to you, they will destroy you. But then now you've got this dynamic of, okay, well, Ryan Day needs you so badly. Maybe he won't kill you if you just play the game. He'll make you look better than you possibly would. Just play the game. Let us play. I don't know how that's going to turn out, but we got lots more come up. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat. Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We're back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat.
Your mic's fixed, Jim. I can hear it.
Thank God for video, because I can't hear anything now, Will, since I did that switch.
Can you not hear me at all? I guess not. You're muted now, Jim.
Oh, there he is.
I don't know why it does that, but now I can hear again. I couldn't hear anything that last segment. I would just watch. All I could do was watch Dustin's mouth move, and it was perfect. I can't hear you now, though. Dustin, talk.
You can't hear me at all?
I still can't hear you.
Oh man.
Can you hear me?
Apparently not.
Since I changed that, Will, his mic went away.
Hello.
Will, should I leave? Come back in? We've got 3 minutes to make this happen. I can't hear you either, Will. I can hear nobody. So now I hear no one.
I'm trying to tell him to open up.
I can leave and come back, I think, right?
Is it? Yeah, is that a yes?
Open up Team Viewer and let you fix it. Team Viewer. Oops.
Dustin, you might have to lead in the next segment. We got a minute left.
Okay.
There it is. Open Sesame. It's not opening. There it is. Team Viewer is open. Yes. Shoopoo doobie.
Dooba-doop.
Doo-doo-doo.
Still can't hear me?
Dun, 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 dun,
Nope.
dun, 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 dun. All right, so, and then CJ Moore at 10. Well, hello, boys. I see you, but I don't hear you.
You can't hear me? Can't hear me? I heard something.
I hear you now.
You can hear me now?
I can hear Dustin now.
There we go.
Love it.
Back in business.
We're back in business. That's how you do that on the fly. And
3 in Clarksville.
it's going to be
Beer.
yes, yes. That's having a producer. That's what's. Are we back?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, you confused me, Will, when you played the song that we closed the show with. That's really confusing.
I didn't have any music lined up. Sorry. I was
Okay, man. It's all right. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat, here on this Thursday. I was like, wait a minute, is the show over? What did I miss? I was like, man.
got any music I can find real quick.
But welcome back, Dustin Schutte sitting in with us here on this Thursday. CJ Moore is going to join us at 10. We're going to talk some basketball from the Athletic. Brendan Sweeney from French Lick Golf Resort will join us at 9:40. We'll talk to him as well. What did I say we were going to talk about? Coming back to football? Yeah, Indiana, a big game on Saturday with Wisconsin with Jack Tuttle at quarterback. And I think they're fine. It's so funny. Normally, when this happens, you're like, wow, you start examining oh my gosh, it never, not for 1 second, I was like, that'll be okay. I was like, he looked fine Saturday. He is an elite quarterback. I think people, they don't forget. I don't think they realize how elite of a quarterback. His recruiting, he got no fanfare because he transferred. He wasn't a full-blown recruit. So he didn't get all that fanfare at Indiana. Dude was the highest recruited quarterback in the history of this program until Donovan McCulley now, who just jumped 100 and however many 19 spots. We'll talk about him too, but in the Rivals rankings, he might end up being the highest ranking quarterback ever to come to Indiana. But regardless, right now, I think it was Rick Bozich tweeted out that he was ranked like behind Trevor Lawrence and behind Justin Fields, but ahead of Michael Penix, ahead of BYU's quarterback, ahead of a lot of other guys that are doing very successfully right now. So the quarterback Indiana's marching in there. It's just fine. They've got one guy who just fighting for a Big Ten West title to play in the Big Ten championship that was IU's quarterback. You just lost a quarterback, and now you're running another guy in. who's going to be just fine. And I'm talking about Donovan McCulley, who just jumped 119 spots on the rivals list. Indiana, all of a sudden, is about to become quarterback U.
Isn't that crazy? And
It's nuts.
I think that's going to be, I think it's going to be really interesting. If you get Jack Tuttle, those first 2 drives are probably going to be really important. If you just get him some easy completions, get him in a rhythm, get him going, I think he'll settle right down. I think they'll be just fine, because at times this Indiana offense, now that the Ohio State game was not one of them, but early on in the season, there were times when this Indiana offense struggled. So they have to establish the run. They got to get Jack Tuttle into a rhythm and then allow him to complete some short passes, I think. But if you're able to do that, I think Indiana's going to be fine. This defense is playing so well. And you saw a couple weeks ago, Wisconsin had a ton of trouble with Northwestern's defense. So Graham Mertz did not look anything like the 5-touchdown quarterback, 20 of 21 completions that he was in week 1 against Illinois. He's still a young guy. He's still got some flaws. And I think Indiana can take advantage. What is it now? Like 3 or 4 straight games with 3 picks, like just insanity. So everybody looks at this.
They lead the nation with 16 interceptions.
Yeah. And so in 6 games, so, which is insane. That's nearly 3 a game. So
it is insane. That's record setting stuff there.
And I don't think, like, you look at the spread and Wisconsin's a 14-point favorite. And in typical years, you might say, okay, I get it because they don't have their starting quarterback. But there's so much more to this Indiana team than just an explosive offense. They are really good defensively. And I think they're going to give fits to Graham Mertz. They're going to get after him. They're going to intercept him. They're going to get him to the ground. This is going to be a really fun defensive game, I think.
I keep using the Denver Broncos as an example from a few years ago with Peyton Manning when they won the Super Bowl, on large part because of their defense and a manageable offense. Because at that time, Peyton, his injuries had caught up to him. He could barely throw the ball 20 yards, it seemed like. But it's all that he had to do. He could do that, and he managed that offense. They didn't make mistakes, and that defense just destroyed people. And that's what's going on with Indiana. When they're taking the ball away from you all the time, you can't score.
Right.
So that makes it a lot easier on the offense as well. But I think that Jack Tuttle is not just I think Jack Tuttle is going to step in, and I don't know that they're going to miss a beat much. There's going to be some, I'm sure, because you can't spend that much time getting in time and in tune with your receivers as Michael Penix and all those guys did, and it not matter. Of course it matters. But I don't think they're going to miss that much. His arm is pretty strong. It may not be just as strong as Michael Penix's, but not many people's are. But it's still up there. It's still elite level. It's he can throw the ball. He can throw the 15-yard out without a problem. And by that I mean timing. And so I think they're going to be fine. I think they win this game outright.
Yeah, I think so too. And like I said, because Wisconsin did not look good a few weeks ago against Northwestern, and you saw some holes. Their 2 biggest wins, obviously, well, their 2 only wins were to Illinois and Michigan, and neither of those teams have been particularly good this season. They haven't. Indiana's. You can probably interchange Northwestern and Indiana defensively. Those teams are very similar. So I think that's where this game is going to be won. Now, again, I don't know. We just haven't seen much of Jack Tuttle. He may very well step under center, and he might be able to lead this offense just as easily as Michael Penix was able to. I don't think that's quite going to be the case, but I think he can get them down the field enough, get them in scoring position enough, and get enough touchdowns to beat Wisconsin, because I think that Wisconsin's really going to have a lot of trouble moving the ball against this defense, considering how well it's played the last few weeks. I mean, you picked off Justin Fields 3 times, who had 2 career regular season interceptions. Like, that's just nuts. And then you picked him up, you sacked him 5 times. So like this is a really, really good defense that doesn't get enough credit. And I think Indiana's going to win this game too. I was shocked that it was a 14-point spread in Wisconsin's favor.
I mean, after watching Indiana, when they made them a 21-point underdog at Ohio State, I was like, it's a little rich. And so they come back and they show that by covering again, as they have in every game. And you're going to make them a 4. That's also, let's talk about the college football playoff standings. Indiana does not move. They stay at 12, while Iowa State, by beating nobody Texas, jumps 4 spots. If that is not out and out the committee trying to purposely put a Big 12 team up there because they suck. I don't know what else, because there's nothing else you can say. You can't jump 4 spots after somebody beats a legitimate team on top of that. That's a legitimate win. Indiana loses its quarterback in the middle of the game, has to switch, and doesn't miss a beat. And you're going to punish that team? Give me a break.
Right. Yeah, I don't understand. And this is the second straight week where I don't understand. You have Oklahoma ahead of them. You have Georgia ahead of them, which really doesn't have a good win. And now you have Iowa State. I might be missing somebody.
2 losses.
The only team that I could see now, I think Indiana is probably better than Miami, but I can understand because Miami's only lost to this point is to Clemson. So I get why they would be behind Miami.
I've got no problem with that either.
So, but I can't understand why you have them behind Oklahoma, Iowa State, Georgia, all with 2 losses. Indiana should absolutely. There you go, right there. Yep, you hit the nail on the head. But Iowa State is not a Jersey
for those
school.
of you who are on radio, listening to us on radio, as all of you are, I was showing my chest like I was doing the pop
Jersey.
name pop as they do the Jersey show. It doesn't say Indiana. It says Indiana on the front. It doesn't say Oklahoma on the front. It doesn't say Georgia on the front. So 6-2. And those are better than a 1 loss by a 1 score to a top 3 team. Crazy.
And the thing that the only thing I say to that is Iowa State is not Iowa State is in the same category as Indiana. So I really don't understand that. But I mean, and you would think, I don't know, if the committee is going to rank Ohio State at number 4, and this is not why you should rank a team higher, but wouldn't you think that you would put Indiana in the top 10 if you're putting Ohio State in the top 4? Because they've only played 4 games. And by the way, they have not looked great. I think that they're probably still one of the 4 best teams, but you had a terrible second half against Indiana. You had a terrible second half against Rutgers. You had a bad second half against Penn State. So this is an Ohio State team that has not played a full 60 minutes. So I'm surprised that the committee just out of saying, hey, you know why we have Ohio State number 4? Because Indiana is the number 8 team or number 9 team in the country. But instead they have them behind Oklahoma, Iowa State, Georgia. And it does not make any sense to me. I can't believe that they didn't move them up into the top 10. But there's always that one Big Ten team that gets snubbed by the committee. Last year it was Minnesota. This year it's going to be Indiana.
Well, if you beat at Wisconsin, Purdue, then I guess it's still going to be Northwestern if you played in the Big Ten championship. So that's going to be another ranked team probably. They'll probably still be ranked. So Wisconsin's ranked. That'd be 4 or 5 ranked team wins or 4 that you'll have.
Right.
And you're the Big Ten champion, and your only loss is by a score on the road to someone who you have tried to push into the college football playoffs. I mean, I'm going to look forward to that argument of keeping that out.
And I can't, and this is the crazy thing too, is that now all of a sudden with Michigan, you hit on this before the break, with Michigan canceling its game against Maryland, it puts the Ohio State-Michigan game in jeopardy. And Ohio State may not qualify for the Big Ten championship game. But now all of a sudden, everybody's talking about how they might readjust that's the biggest bunch of crap too. I don't even acknowledge that talk, because that is boy, you want to talk about somebody going off? I will go off on that. Well, I don't blame anybody that would, because you know what? At this stage, if the committee wants to put Ohio State in the college football playoff, that's fine. But the athletic directors, the coaches, and administrators agreed to this 6-game policy. So stick with it, because you have a team in the West and you have a team in the East that were able to hit that criteria. So don't punish those teams because they were able to play their games. It's a weird year. Life isn't fair. Allow Indiana and Northwestern to play in the Big Ten championship game. Now, obviously, if Ohio State gets to 6 games, whatever, that's they're going to play in the Big Ten championship game. But if they can't meet that agreed upon 6-game minimum requirement, don't change it. And I really have a feeling that they're going to. Plus, by the way, Ohio State's going to play that last week. They're going to play Wisconsin or Iowa in the second, the number 2 game. So it's not like they're just going to be sitting on the sidelines. They're going to get a chance to get a top 25 victory in that final game. It is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
And actually, they'll be playing maybe Iowa, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that does them a lot better. That they're better off playing Iowa, because I think Iowa is second, third best team in the Big Ten right now. It's Ohio State, Indiana, and Iowa. Those are the three best teams in the Big Ten. And so you definitely want to be playing a good Iowa team,
Right?
Because that's going to give them more college football playoff points in my mind. But this committee is they're a jackwagon anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Ron in Arizona, man, we haven't heard from Ron since April, so glad to have you back. But says, if Tom Allen leaks into the basketball locker room, I'm 100% okay with that. I also saw a tweet from Joey Brunk yesterday which said, love this team. There you go. I mean, it's works, man. Whatever works, and it does. I mean, I think Tom Allen has proven that. I had another one from Ryan in Michigan. I know Todd said that Texas was okay, but not great, but they are going to be a tough out in the NCAA tournament, and I think they finished in the top 4 in the Big 12. Texas is a hell of a lot better than I think anybody thought, even Todd. I mean, I think if he was here today, he'd say, man, they're even better than he thought they were. So, but we'll see. Tim also says, if we beat Wisconsin, maybe they jump 4 spots next poll. Good. That's actually a good point. Okay, what if they go to Wisconsin and beat Wisconsin? There is no way in hell you're going to let Iowa State jump 4 spots from beating a nobody Texas team that is what are they, 1-3?
Texas, I don't. They're maybe 4-3 now, something like that. 3-3. I don't know
anyway,
what their record is.
They're mediocre at best. They're just
Right.
a mediocre team. So. And everyone's been in love with Wisconsin. They're Wisconsin and Ohio State are the 2 teams in the Big Ten. They are trying at all costs to keep propped up. I mean, they're standing on legs. Kevin Warren's got his family coming in and holding them up. I mean, it's like, hey man, come here, hold this ladder. Whatever it takes, Kevin Warren is trying. And I don't think it's going to work, but with everyone loving them so much, when you go there and beat that team.
Mhm.
Or is that love going to transfer over to Indiana? I don't think it will, but
I really don't think so either, honestly. I would like to say that, yes, they're going to jump up to, right behind Cincinnati in that number, 8 spot maybe, because I think that they deserve it. But Indiana fought Ohio State. They played them better than anybody else, and they beat a top 10 Penn State. I don't care what you say about Penn State. I know they're 1-5 right now, but Penn State, that was a lot better football team in week 1 than it is right now. Indiana crushed their spirits. So to me, I think Indiana, again, top 8, top 9 team. But if they win, there's no excuse to keep them out of the top 10, but I don't have any faith that the committee is going to bump them up quite like they did Iowa State for whatever reason.
I believe you. Hey, we got to take a break. Coming back, Brendan Swinney from French Lake Golf Resort is going to join us. We'll talk about some games, maybe give you some stuff to bet on as well from Bet Rivers. We got a lot more coming up. CJ Moore from The Athletic is going to join us at 10. We're going to talk some Indiana basketball, get that set up as they move forward and playing Florida State next. But you've got more coming up from the golf club here at Eagle Point Studios. The Indiana Sports Beat back with more right after this.
When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Public 33.
Man, that just makes me happy knowing we got through that mess without a blip. That fires me up.
Okay.
Oh,
What'd you say? I got a buzzing in my ear.
I said it just fires me up knowing we got through that deal without a blip. It makes me so happy.
FYI, you guys
The
we are or not.
are on radio, but are not on.
things still keep buzzing in my ear.
Okay.
There we go.
Hey,
there we go.
just as an FYI, this is we're on YouTube a lot now, and I'm trying to push that. So, just maybe you want to put up a sheet or something next week.
I don't have anything. That's the problem.
A sheet, just hang a sheet up.
You don't like seeing my clothes?
Well, it's not me. It's just that everyone else gets to see that too. Everyone in this free world is.
Hey, you know what?
You know.
Behind the door,
He
backstage
does,
pass.
and for those of you that are listening right now, that are listening to us talk about that, it's because of sound. It's the deadest sound that he has, which makes sense because that is the deadest sounded room in the house. For one, it's small, but it's full of clothes, and all the sound dies into the clothes. It's so funny. I mean, it's probably the greatest sound room in anybody's home is your walk-in closet.
I could transform radio, podcasting.
I just thought of the name.
What's
In
that?
the Closet with Dustin Shooty.
There, there we go.
Welcome to In the Closet with Dustin Shooty.
Here we go. Yeah, where we
We're
talk
going to
nothing
talk
but
about,
sports.
look to see what comes out.
Oh boy,
man.
it is.
Holy cannolis.
It is nice to come in here too. I mean, peace and quiet. Get away from the dog. When you have a small 1-bedroom, there's very little escape.
Well, I guess in all seriousness, I am going to reach out to a guy about see if they want to use this for their TV broadcast.
Oh, really?
So we will have to hang a sheet if that's the case.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you don't have a Saturday Tradition banner.
Nope. Sure don't. I wish I did. I do
Well,
have.
you know that they sell those. They're very inexpensive. Vistaprint. Vistaprint.
Drink for just
I ain't paying for it.
Part of
I'm
the
telling you
karaoke
that.
fun with the audience Saturday night.
Well,
Leroy's
you got a company, don't you?
If they want to buy it, that's great. I
This
do
segment
have,
is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in
We'll come
Clarksville.
back.
Burgers, beer.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Jim Coyle with you as always. Dustin Shooty as well. Will, did you send the link to Brendan? I want to make sure that he has that link because I don't see him popping up, and he asked me that question earlier.
Yet.
What's that?
I sent it to him. I just haven't heard back from him yet.
Okay, yep. Make sure you send it again for him. We're waiting on Brendan to join us here from the French Lake Golf and Resort. To reach out and text him and tell him it's all the way. But speaking of that, man, that's one thing that's not happening right now is too much golf. Although yesterday I was like, man, you can play. It was good enough to play yesterday. There he is jumping in here because there was a wind and it was warming up. It was very comfortable. Brendan, I'm talking about it was comfortable enough to play yesterday, man. One of those rarities once you get into December, a day that you can play golf in December in Indiana. Well, that's like finding a little golden nugget.
It's a bonus every time you can tee it up there, my man. How you guys doing this morning?
Pretty good. How you doing, Brendan? Sweeney joining us now. Sweeney Todd. I'm gonna start calling him Sweeney Todd.
It's a bloody mess, my man. Someone's got to do it.
How are things going with you?
Hey, it's sunny. It's sunny and 72 in Orlando, Florida.
oh man, I'm
God,
jealous.
dude.
Yeah,
Hey,
not
what are you
really.
talking about? You're halfway down there. What are you talking about? You're down in Georgia. Maybe one of you guys can complain. I'm the only one that's in Indiana.
Hey,
Well,
you know
With the
what?
Indiana weather.
Hey, we got snow the other day. We got snow just like the rest. It wasn't as much, but we did
We
get
got
snow
snow.
here.
We got snow. Yeah. Brendan Sweeney, what's up with you, man? How are things going out at the French Lake? I was out there the other day. It looks so beautiful still. You got a lot of Christmas decorations going. It's the season. It's festive.
It is. It is. And we're definitely trying to make the best of it. The valley, as we call it, between West Baden and French Lick, it's always been a central gathering place for the Christmas holidays. This year with COVID, it's a little bit different. We have an outdoor show that's going on. Indoor guests get to see the lights and entertainment inside, but you got to be part of the registered guests there. So it's great, man. Wilson Ranch, right around the corner, has got a big light show going on. So if you guys are bored, want to get out of the house in Indiana, just head on down. Take a ride at Paola. You can't miss us. So it's going good, man.
Pretty easy to find. Bet Rivers is still laying the bets down, man. That's the one good thing is the sports. We're in the middle of the week, and yesterday you've got college basketball, you've got NFL football in the middle of the day. That's the one thing we're not lacking with right now, sports, and that's good.
Hey, but just before we say anything, if you have a gambling problem, just remember one thing, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. And my box has been checked.
I should know that by now.
It's good. I tell you what, it's not only on the online stuff, but inside we're doing great. But the Bet Rivers guys have been fabulous with us. And if you're stuck inside and want to go online, just fill out the form, and the app is geo-fenced, and it goes across 6 different states. So Pennsylvania, you got Ohio, you have New York, Indiana, and Illinois and Iowa. So each state has its own little thing, but yeah, it's a good way to pass some time. And with everybody being locked up right now, why not have a little fun doing it? Yesterday was a great day. I mean, you had a little pro football, had a lot of college hoops, and not to mention what's coming up this weekend. So it's a good way to pass some time, and it's a good way to spread some money throughout the state.
Can you go to the casino now at French Lick?
Yeah.
So people are able to go there.
Yeah, there is a capacity. Normally it's like 3,000 people are allowed inside, but due to the COVID restrictions, we're about between 500 and 600 people. It's comfortable. We have to deal with what we have on hand. You can't have food or drink at the tables. You got to have your cocktails at the bar. Obviously, the craps tables and the blackjack tables, and the card tables have restricted people on there, and the slot machines are, they're socially distanced apart from that. But with our Valley Sports Bar that we just opened up in the Valley Tower Hotel, there's online gaming machines in there that you can place your bets, have a sandwich there, watch the game, go back to the casino, play a couple rounds of craps or whatnot, and come back and collect your winnings.
So and even now during this time, you can go. The hotel's big and nice and open. You can go there, stay, go to the casino, go to the spa. You can go and really social distance and do basically everything you'd ever want to do anyway. And actually not be around people, so it may even be better. We
do have 175,000 square feet of vacant meeting space that you could go in any corner, no one would find you. But the cool thing is, with the kids being out of school and a lot of college kids being sent home, and a lot of moms and dads who are stuck at home and they have to do the virtual, Zoom calls. We're doing workations. And what we did with the event center, where the old tennis courts used to be by the Valley Golf Course, we turned it into an indoor fun zone with like life-size, pool and soccer and mini golf and whatnot. So just, for a couple shekels, you whip down, you go down there, you have a day pass, and you have the kids run wild while you guys do your work. And then the indoor pools are open as well too. So it's a good place to hang out, and it's a fun sports week. I mean, I watched a lot of IU hoops this week. I tell you what, I'm not sure what Bill Walton's taking, but for all you youngsters out there, stay away from it. It sort of comes back and creeps up later in life, I would assume. Jesus, what's that guy on?
I have talked about. I love listening to him do a game as long as it's not a game that I care about listening to. Because if you do, you're screwed.
Oh my God!
If you're listening to one of those Pac-12 after midnight games that he normally does, that's great. I'm trying to fall asleep when I'm watching him normally, so it's actually usually perfect. But man, he had Bruce Hornsby on there yesterday for like 20 daggone minutes, and then they only broke away from him to go to a break. And I'm like, you guys are killing me, man. Unbelievable.
That's insane. Yeah. But the good thing about, watching the Pac-12 with Walton doing the commentary is chances are you'll be on the same wavelength as he is at that time at night. So,
well, there is that, man. There is that. But so what else is coming up next for the course as far as the golf? I know they focus on getting back. The Donald's open now, but Pete Dye opens back up in the spring. But you guys stay open all year long.
At the Valley, yeah, and actually, the Valley course, it's our little 9-hole course, which stretches back to 3,600 yards. We just added 14 holes of foot golf, so we have a whole new foot golf golf course out there, and it's great for the kids and it's great for families to get away and whatnot. But
when you talk about those workations, you can take your clubs, and if it's the right day, you can sneak 9 in, man. You can do a little work and sneak 9 in.
That's what we do. That's the secret to it. And you get to go beat some balls and have some fun. Sorry, my dog's all over me. Daisy, what's up? We start talking about IU hoops and Daisy goes crazy. So it's a fun thing. The summer coming up, we're getting, a lot of guys book these trips over to Europe, and they book it, 6 months in advance. And last year we saw a huge influx of like private club guys and guys who do these buddy trips that go overseas and whatnot, show up at our place. And we're getting a lot of those group guys, the 12 to 16 guys that are coming down that normally do a big road trip. And due to the COVID restrictions on travel, our pre-bookings for 21 are going through the roof. So it's a great problem to have for us right now. our advanced team, Alex Whiteman is our golf group sales guy, is busy, and he's like, hey, I'm really slammed down here. I'm like, well, good, we're doing our job. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing, and we're looking forward to having another Symetra Tour event in July, and then the 5th edition of the Senior LPGA Championship at the Pete Dye course in August, the week of August 24th, which is my 25th wedding anniversary, and my wife is really excited
Congratulations.
that she'll be. I said, hey, honey, you want to go to French Lick for the 25th anniversary and go watch a golf tournament? And she's like, enjoy yourself. So I'll be doing some fun times, but maybe be hanging out with you, dear Jimmy Coyle.
Well, I hope so. There's nothing funner for me, man. Looking forward to it. But yeah, it sounds exciting, and I can't wait, especially with Christmas coming up. With the way that things have been going, everybody can't really go too far. What a great opportunity to go right here. You don't have to go anywhere. You've got this incredible, it's like a world that's just kind of hidden away right there. You can go in a hotel and the spa, or just do whatever you want to do and not have to deal with all that's going on in this COVID world right now. So it's kind of like a little hidden gem. It
is. It's been around since 1845, so hopefully it's no longer hidden, or I won't be doing my job correctly.
Yeah, not really hidden, but man, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and we'll look to hit some Bet Rivers, man. Let's get on the Bet Rivers train. We got to get some picks for you to fill up.
I tell you, a good one today. How about Iowa against the Leathernecks of Western Illinois University with a 36-point spread on that thing? Good Lord.
Who are you taking?
I'd go with the Leathernecks.
Dustin, you got some Leathernecks or a Hawkeye there? We're talking basketball.
Yeah, I know. I think I would go with that's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points in a basketball game.
Plus, when it's a lot of points for any game. When you're talking about if you want to just go on mascots, I mean, I don't know how you top Leathernecks.
Oh, it's great.
There you go. Let's all be Leathernecks today.
There we go.
Winnie Todd, the Leatherneck.
Hey, here's to the directional schools in Illinois, man. I'm an Eastern Illinois Panther. How good is that?
There you go.
There you go.
But Brendan, can't thank you enough, brother. Looking forward to it.
All right, guys. Hey, be safe out there. Enjoy your families, and give yourself a couple feet and wear a mask outside. Let's end this stuff.
Great advice. Thank you very much. Brendan Sweeney joining us from the French Lake Golf and Resort. Make sure if you haven't, book your side. Get out there. It's a great time, a great place to go for the weekend, for the holidays. Whoo, it's beautiful. And if you have not seen the West Baden, that's an amazing place, Dustin. It's just an incredible place. It just sits. If you live in the area, you know it. If you're from us, but when you don't, it's like, wow. How are these places? And there's other places like this around this country. I'm sure, not a lot, but those little gyms like that, it's amazing that they're there, and that like Brendan said, have been there since the 1800s.
Yeah, and I'm jealous. I lived in Indiana for the first 25 years of my life, never been. So, that's something that I'm going to have to experience at some point, and hopefully I get the opportunity, because it's you guys always rave about it, so I'm going to have to hit it up at some point.
Oh, well, there's a reason. When you get there, you'll understand why. But yeah, we got a lot more coming up. What's coming up today, football wise? What's next that you're looking forward to? We talked about the Indiana story, and not only the Ohio State. Ryan Day's not going to be coaching for the Buckeyes this weekend. I don't know how much is that going to play into effect. Is Kevin Wilson next in line there now? I don't know what their hierarchy is over there.
Their defensive line coach, Larry Johnson, who was the defensive line coach for a long time at Penn State. He's been at Ohio State now for a decade. He's going to be the interim head coach. So a lot of teams will do that.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
You got a guy that came over from a Big Ten school as a head coach.
Yep.
He was dropped below Ryan Day. He's now dropped below this guy. I wonder why that is. That's kind of unusual for a Big Ten head coach to just continue to get dropped down like that.
Well, I tell you what, Kevin Wilson may have like the easiest job in the United States. I mean, just go out.
Yeah, he doesn't even call the plays, does he?
I mean, he just sits up there. But even if he is calling the plays, you have an incredible amount of talent. You have one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I mean, I'm just sitting up there sipping coffee or whatever throughout the game and letting my guys go play. So,
yes, I agree with you, man. I agree with you. But hey, a good gig if you can get it. But That's going to be a storyline too, though, with Ryan Day not coaching. Is that going to play? How much of an impact is that going to have on this game, do you think? Because he calls the plays, I believe, normally on the offensive scheme, which is unusual. The head coaches normally don't call the plays. Normally it is the offensive coordinator, which is that Kevin Wilson's official title?
Yeah, he's co-offensive coordinator, so I assume there's probably some sort of thing where Ryan Day gets on the mic and says, "Hey, I'm going to call this play," and Kevin Wilson just says, "Okay, that's great." But I think it's going to have some sort of impact, but how much in this game, especially Michigan State. I know that their only 2 wins have been against Michigan and Northwestern, so both teams were ranked at the time they played them. So for some reason, Michigan State, gets up for these kind of games, but this is also a Spartans team that has not looked good for most of the season. So I don't know that it's going to have that much of an impact. And this is one thing I just want to toss. Like, there's something weird going on with Ohio State in this whole situation, because most teams at this point who have canceled a game have been out for 2 weeks. Ohio State was ready to go 3 days later after canceling the Illinois game. So
part of that is because they for lack of a better term, self-reported. They didn't cancel because they had to, because they didn't even meet the Big Ten threshold to cancel. They canceled on their own, which really makes me wonder, though, with all that is at stake for them, why you wouldn't take it to the nth degree. They must have really felt not confident they were going to win a game. Well, and I can't imagine any other reason. So that tells me, do they not have Justin Fields? Right. Something big had to be in place for them not to think they could win that game against Illinois. My God.
Yeah. And that's what I keep coming back to. It's because you saw Wisconsin, Maryland. Those 2 teams, when they canceled their first game, did not meet that threshold. So they did the same thing that Ohio State did. So it's interesting to me that you don't think you can play, or it's not safe to play. We've seen teams, it's been kind of a 2-week thing. You can't play in 1 week, you're going to miss the next week. But they were back on the field, I think, Monday or Tuesday. So it's just a very interesting situation. So, when the 30 for 30 comes out in 5 or 10 years, it's good. We'll probably find out. But that's just something that it's been very curious to me. And like I said, I don't have no inside knowledge. I'm not going to fake report anything, but that's just something that has caught my attention this week, that they were able to get back to playing Michigan State so quickly after canceling basically late Friday night on Illinois.
And then you wonder, though, with all these other teams, we've seen Wisconsin, how when they had to miss a game, it was almost like there was no way they weren't missing a second game. It was just almost guaranteed because of the contact tracing that it took so deep. Maybe that's why they missed this game, in hopes of being able to play the Michigan game.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that very well could be it.
But Forrest says it'll have no impact. What's interesting is Michigan is shut down. Game with Maryland canceled. Maybe Harbaugh going to put it on Ohio State. Yeah, we'll see about that. I don't know. But that's Dwayne Blackford with us. We got some people listening to us on YouTube. That's another thing. We're really been using it. Haven't ever pushed YouTube, but we're pushing out the link in advance, so people that no matter where you are, you can always catch us on YouTube and watch Dustin's closet. That's
I was just gonna say, you get this great view behind me here.
Yeah, perfect. But anyway, we appreciate everybody joining us. And lots of texts this morning too. Got one from Alan I just was reading as well. Where did he go? Come back. Here we go. Could we have a conversation? We kind of did, but could we have a conversation as to why ESPN would allow Bill the Dead to call games? Well, I think he's great. Like I said, he really is. For that post-midnight Pac-12, nobody gives a crap basketball, he's a show. I think he's hilarious, but he's also a little more subdued. They gave him a platform this week of national prime time, and man, oh man, they must have said go wild with it. And you can't blame Bill Walton, because Bill Walton didn't make the call to have Bruce Hornsby on there for 20 freaking minutes during the middle of a damn game. Right. ESPN, somebody needs to be kicked right in the where. That's ridiculous. That was horrible. It was disrespectful. I think it's disrespectful to everybody watching, because nobody gives a crap about Bruce Hornsby. This is 30 years ago, maybe they did, but not today. Not during damn basketball game. I mean, it went on for like, I don't know, 10, 12 minutes. It was ridiculous.
It was a long time. I remember thinking, is this guy going to take a breath? Like, he was just constantly talking. But the thing is if you want to do something like that, I have no problem with it. But you have a halftime show. You have 30 minutes or whatever the time is between games. Why couldn't you have done that at that point? Because if you watch, Jason Benetti was on the screen. He looked like he just wanted to call the basketball game, but he just didn't get the chance to get a word in edgewise because Bill Walton and Bruce Hornsby were talking for so long throughout that game that, I mean, it was very, very odd, I thought.
Absolutely. Hey, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, though, we're going to talk to CJ Moore from The Athletic. We'll pick back up on the Indiana basketball talk as they coming off a nice win over Stanford yesterday. We'll talk about I think Trey Jackson Davis is looking good. Armand Franklin's looking good. We got plenty to get to. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat. We're back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
I'm Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 and
Oh, yes.
I'm not.
See, Will, I told you it's not hard to fill time. It is not hard at all if you got crap to talk about.
All right. I'm not leaving. Nothing happened. I'm just getting some water. You're going to see a blank screen.
At least we're not looking at the underwear drawer. Oh man, technology is a funny thing. Where?
Network. TheHoosier.com is where you'll find complete coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, as well as coverage of the Big Ten. Simply go to TheHoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also catch Indiana Sports Beat Radio there each day at your convenience, or you can find it any place you podcast or on this station each weekday. If we're not on the station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
Whoa. We're back.
He back.
Now the weather has arrived. It's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers.
Yeah,
of the
I would think you should get a banner and put your Saturday Tradition on it. Like, or whatever the at Saturday Tradition is. Dude, it costs like $30.
I'm not the owner. I do.
Well, I would get one with. I would get one with your Twitter handle on.
There we go. I could do that. I do have a lot of Big Ten stuff, but there's really no. I mean, I'd have to dig it out. I don't know where it is.
I got to get some Big Ten stuff.
I have multiple banners. I have helmets, a display.
I would think with what you do anyway, you need to set one up because I think you guys would start doing more stuff. Now,
you know what? When I lived in or when we lived in Orlando, I had this room because we had a separate space, and I had a perfect backdrop. I had all the Big Ten banners. I had the helmet display. I had I
don't have any Big Ten stuff. I gotta get some Big Ten stuff. Send me some extra Big Ten stuff.
I got a lot of it at the Big Ten tournament.
Tab also
2016, 15, 16, whenever it was last in Indianapolis.
Featuring a
before
sandwich,
this last time.
wings, or a 7-inch pizza and a non-alcoholic drink for just $6. Be part of the karaoke fun every Friday and Saturday night. Leroy's Tavern, a West Side tradition for 50 years at 2659 Mount Vernon Avenue.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
I want to know, have you ever seen the rain?
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat with you here on this Thursday, and I think I forgot to send the email of CJ to Will to get him on here. So we'll get him on here in a second. But Indiana basketball, they're off for about a week before taking on Florida State in the ACC Big Ten Challenge, a game that I think a lot of people were a little more concerned about until yesterday. after seeing him come back out and fight to play that game. And Trace Jackson Davis, though, man, a career high. Where are those stats I had pulled up? He played 34 minutes. He was 10 of 16, did not shoot a three, was 11 of 14 from the field. 31 points. What a day for him. Big day.
Yeah, he played great, and he played like a star is supposed to play, especially after the game against Texas. So that was really good to see. He's been fun to watch. He's going to continue to be fun to watch. My big question is, I'm going to go back a little bit here and talk about the Texas game, because I feel like the biggest issue for Indiana is when they've played really good defensive teams, with which Texas was. They've struggled to shoot. They've struggled to get the ball in the basket. And some of that obviously goes to credit to the Texas defense. But that's always why they've kind of struggled in the Big Ten. When they can't hit the long ball, then they've struggled to get the ball inside or put points on the scoreboard. So you wonder if that's going to be something that they get addressed. Obviously, they did really well against Stanford and shot much better. They jumped from 23% to, I think, 53% shooting the basketball in that Stanford game. So that's just going to be something for me to keep an eye on, because there's going to be a lot of really good defensive teams in the Big Ten this season, as we've already seen through the first couple games.
And I think something that was missed a lot, Armand Franklin played 40 minutes yesterday. He did not come out of the game.
Wow.
He was 4 of 10 from the field. His shooting, I mean, that's okay, 40%. You're still going to take that okay. But it's not that. He was 5 of 6 from the free throw line. He had 7 rebounds, or 8 rebounds total. 8 rebounds, 5 assists. I mean, 13 points. To me, that's a yeoman's effort. And if he can keep doing that, get his shooting a little bit better. Let's see, turnovers. 5 turnovers for Rob Finney. Where's Franklin? 2 for Armand Franklin. That's the kind of performance they need out of, I don't want to say Rob Finney because he's more the point guard, but they got to get more of that from him. But Armand that's a bonus. I don't know that anyone, including Archie Miller, saw that coming, but maybe he did because he's been starting. And that's a surprise. I did not expect to see Armand Franklin starting after he didn't seem to grow a lot last year, but man, he must have in between then and now, because he's playing really, really well. He's playing hard. He's doing the things that you need guys to do, the intangibles. He'll get on the floor. He'll do whatever it takes. He's your typical Indiana basketball player, and man, he's had a really, really good start to the season for him.
And don't you think, we talk about how Indiana has struggled to, they've had some stars. Archie Miller and even Tom Crane recruited really well at times, but they have had trouble getting a collective team effort on a regular basis. But I look at this team, and I know they've only played a couple games here, but I look at this team and I feel like that they can depend on a couple different guys. If Trace Jackson Davis isn't having a big game, they can depend on some other guys on that roster. And I don't know that you've been able to say that in the past. And again, it's still early in the season. I could be completely wrong, but after seeing these guys, they kind of spread the basketball around. Obviously, if Trace Jackson Davis isn't going, you're going to have some troubles. But I think that there are guys here that are going to step up throughout the course of the season, and you're going to see a handful of different guys that say, hey, there's the Christian Lander game. There's the Race Thompson game. There's the Armand Franklin game. I just have more confidence that they can be more consistent and share the basketball better and have other guys step up. And they haven't been able to do that in the past with any sort of consistency.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I think fans want to see. They want to see a consistent fight from this team, and the ability to consistently compete at a higher level, which I think they're going to beat the teams that they're supposed to beat. The difference for this team this year is going to be, can they beat in Illinois? They're those teams are not unbeatable. I was kind of starting to wonder if they were to start this season, because it was all mythical proportions, but they're beatable. We saw, Baylor's a great team, but man, they made Kofi Coburn disappear in that first half of that game last night. I think he had 3 or 4 points. I was like, what? Yeah. Crazy, because he's, I'm thinking, give me his body. You're not going to hold me to 3 or 4 points. I'll kill somebody. But they did, and it's great to formulate a plan so it can be done. You've got to put the effort in to do it, though, and that's the thing. I I want to see from the men's basketball team, they have the killer instinct every time they come out on the floor, that they're playing to win every time, that you don't have to have the – it's not losing, but it's when that effort just totally disappears, that is just never acceptable in any situation, form. I don't care. I don't care if you win, lose, or draw. Not having effort, there is no excuse. You're freaking 18, 19, 20 years old. I don't want to hear it. You've got no excuse. Your school's getting paid for. You've got nothing. It's no excuse to not play, ever, to not have the effort.
Right. And I think that's why it was such an important game yesterday, to see them come out with a little bit of fire and come out with some urgency and say, hey, you know what? We may not be in the championship game, but we still have a chance to get this third place game and leave here with a 2-1 record. And that was really positive because, like I said earlier, this wasn't a game where you had a couple days to rinse the taste out of your mouth. You didn't have, time to go back and correct the errors. You just had to go out and play the very next day after getting, as we talked about again, getting punched in the mouth. And it was a great response. This team played with urgency. And there have been times throughout the course of Archie Miller's tenure where you really wonder, where's the effort? Where's the urgency? Where's the desire to play this game? And you saw that yesterday. So I think that there's a lot of positives to take away from the first three games. You're not going to have it every night. You're going to have days where you have that Texas type effort. But it's not about, what happens, how you're going to respond. And I think that if this team continues to respond that way after losses, because they're going to pile up. Everybody's going to lose a couple games in the Big Ten this season. But if you can continue to respond, beat a team like Illinois or Michigan State or an Iowa throughout the course of the season, then you're going to see that, hey, you know what? Archie Miller does have this program trending in a right direction.
The one thing Archie has said before the season, which he rarely has done what he said he's going to do before the season, because they're always going to be up-tempo offense. That never happens. But anyway, he said he was going to go with a smaller rotation this year, and he has done that. Yesterday, just 8-man rotation. You're minus Joey Bronk, and you were without Al Durham. So that rotation should have shrunk, and it did. Anthony Leal played 18 minutes. He didn't play the day before, but Geronimo had played, didn't play at all yesterday. So you had a swap with freshmen there, and Forrest wants to see more of Geronimo. He wonders why he's not playing more. I think it's just because he's raw. From what I've seen of Geronimo, superior athlete, as we've heard, but he's raw basketball-wise at this level, and he's got to get to it. He's still just watching him. Yeah, he's got to get smoothed out. They've got to smooth his rough edges, but he's going to be a good one. Okay? His defensive prowess with that 7'3" wingspan is incredible, but you got to learn. That's why I think that I think Texas exposed him a little bit, but that Texas is going to expose a lot of people. You're going to see him more. I don't think there's any doubt to that. But Archie's sticking to the smaller rotation right now, like I said. I mean, last year he was all over the place with that. Actually, he has been all 3 years prior to that. But this year, right, so far, he's stuck to that, and it worked out yesterday.
Well, and I don't know how many different lineups he uses on a regular basis, but it always seems like a lot when you send out a new starting lineup. I mean, you've got to have some sort of consistency there and trust in your players. And I think maybe this year, when he talks about not having a high maintenance team or not having anybody who got down after the Texas loss, maybe that's what he's talking about. I have faith in this team that I don't need to send a message. I don't need to bench somebody, or I don't need to bench a few guys. I have faith and trust that they're going to go out and they want to salvage this trip to Asheville. They want to go out and they want to send a message to Stanford. And I think that that's a big difference. And that's probably why you see a shorter lineup. He has more trust in those guys, whereas he was trying to send a message and say, you know what, I'm going to have to bench these guys, or I'm going to have to change up the rotation because I just don't have any trust in the guys on the floor right now. So from a mental standpoint, and that's a big thing for Indiana, to have that trust there where you can say, you know what, these are my 8 or 9 guys. I'm going to send them out every game. And if we don't play great, I still trust them to come back and give 100% effort on the floor next time out.
Absolutely. We're going to take one more quick break. When we come back, we'll hear from Archie on coming up and see what he thinks. Maybe we can get CJ Moore on here, and if not, we'll go on. We've got plenty more coming up. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this.
Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at
Yeah, I sent the link to him. It's in his email.
Okay. Did you send it to him like way early or before, or once I sent it to you?
As soon as you sent it to me, I emailed it to him.
Okay. We used to have a list that the producers had that had everybody on it. And when you get somebody new, you add to it. So you always have their information. We need to make sure that both you guys have that, access that, and add to that each show. But yeah, I've texted him too. I haven't heard back from him. So, oh well, no biggie. Oh, I need to find an Archie clip real quick.
Does he do just the Indiana?
No,
Indiana
he does.
Athletic?
No. He's with the Athletic, period. And he does college basketball.
Oh, okay.
Stop.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
Does your bank offer the personal service of a community bank combined with big bank products that you expect? I'm Dane Chandler, Banking Center Manager with Banterra, and with our bank, you get the best of both worlds. Our easy-to-use mobile app includes conveniences like mobile check deposit. We offer competitive CD and money market rates, smart mortgage options, and unmatched business products and services. Switching to Banterra is easy. Stop by our locations to learn more. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The college and pro football seasons bring friends together, and Leroy's Tavern is a place to watch all the games every week with the NFL Sunday Ticket while enjoying
We can take Archie at 143
Thursday. Leroy's Tavern also features a $6 daily lunch special from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday through Friday, featuring a sandwich, fries, or onion rings, or a 7-inch pizza and a non-alcoholic drink for just $6. Be part of the karaoke fun every Friday and Saturday night. Leroy's Tavern, a West Side tradition for 50 years at 2659 Mount Vernon Avenue.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
I guess you're just what I needed. I needed someone to feed me.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Thursday. Dustin Schutte sitting in, as always, here on this day. I'm still trying to get over that 340 Steelers game yesterday. That in the middle of the day, someone sent out a tweet that I laughed so hard before. It was they said, well, everybody was questioning how did they come up with this time, and this guy just put out a tweet with the Pawn Stars guys on there. 340 is the best I can do for you.
I like that. That is good.
There's another got a tweet too about the updated Ken Palm rankings for coaches, but this thing is so skewed. You're going into year 4 where you got 3 games.
Yeah.
And if you look at Ken Palm, that's a positive for Archie. Okay, but that's a computer ranking is all that is, a computer analysis of certain things. If you look at the eye test and where you finish in the Big Ten, no, it's going backwards on where you're on if you're competitive. No, you're okay. I mean, so don't let these things are really, really skewed. That's just not accurate, I don't think, personally. But that's okay. It gives us something to talk about. Always fun, which is always fun.
It does, and I don't even understand. I mean, how many different ways are there to rank and analyze basketball anymore? It seems like 3,000, and I can't even keep up with it anymore. Like there used to be the Jerry Palm, Ken Pomeroy. There's whatever RPI, FPI, whatever, all these different abbreviations. I can't keep it in on track anymore. I mean, let's just look at the record. Let's see how teams are playing. I go with the points per game, turnovers per game. That's the easy, clean stuff for me to analyze, and then to look at the product on the floor and see how it's going. That's what I prefer.
Absolutely, actually, but winning's all that matters, baby. Just win.
That's
As
right.
Al David said, just win, baby, because winning cures all ills. Winning cures all ills.
And guess what? If you are winning, nobody's going to look at the analytics anyway. So it takes it all away.
Nobody examines why you're winning.
Exactly.
You know why? Because nobody cares, man. Just win.
Exactly.
Yeah, that takes care of a lot of things. And especially when you're if you're a fan of a program that is used to winning, like Indiana basketball fans, the older ones, the younger ones. I don't know what it's like to be a younger, what it would be like to be a younger IU basketball. Seriously, it can't be all that great.
I would think not,
because at least the older people, they have something to hey, this is a great It is a great program. It's just not at that level at the moment, and that's okay, because none of those programs that are great programs have been at that level the whole time. None of them. They've all gone through ups and downs, and hopefully this one rises back up, because it's a lot more fun, whatever sport it is. It doesn't matter what the sport is. You want the greats to be great.
Mm-hmm.
It's just better. People want that. They want to see the Titans. They want to see the heavyweights. They want to see Muhammad Ali and George Foreman, not Joe Smith and Randy Click Clack. You know, they want to see the names, man. They want to see Baylor and Illinois.
They don't want to see Jake Paul and Nate Robinson.
No.
I don't even know what happened there, but I just saw the clip on Twitter or whatever social media I was on and couldn't stop laughing. So apparently that was a thing. But I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, everybody wants the Blue Bloods to be consistent contenders, and that's not going to happen every year. Obviously, you're going to go through some growing pains every once in a while. You're going to go through some coaching changes. But Indiana has needed to elevate itself. It had that brief little run under Tom Crean, but you thought that they were going to restore it, and it lasted such a short time. You'd like to see it last a little bit longer. Maybe this is the start of it here in the fourth year of Archie Miller, correct? He's in year 4. So maybe it starts now, but you'd like to see them be near the top of the Big Ten, because you're right. It's more fun. And then you always have that thing, we got the win over Indiana. And it's kind of, like I said, it's kind of like Nebraska in football. Right now doesn't mean much, but back in the day when you got a win over in Indiana or Nebraska, people talked about that for a week.
Well, and still the lure of Assembly Hall. It's still the place that when you see these teams come in, it's so funny, and you see the other teams, they've got their cameras out and they're videoing around, showing it to keep, and that doesn't happen at these other places. They don't care. This is a venue, man. It's historic. The program is historic. Historic things have happened here and will happen there again. It's just not happening right now, and that's okay. You're going to get back to that point. So looking forward to that happening. It's an exciting time, but it's an exciting time as we try to get back to normalcy in life. I got to give everybody a lot of credit, man. I mean, while the numbers are going up, we're still getting by. It seems like we're getting through this, man. We're getting by it and dealing with it. It's no fun. It sucks to have to wear a mask all of the time, but hey, do it. Wear your mask, man. Let's try to get through this, right?
Hey, do what you got to do, and then the sooner we get this over, the sooner we'll all be back in Assembly Hall, or back at Memorial Stadium, or wherever. And the one thing is, if we knew that this was going to be a spike, it's cold and flu season. We knew that there was going to be a spike in the winter months because people are indoors, the cold weather. So you got to be vigilant. You got to continue to do what you got to do. And hopefully we can nip this thing in the bud. And like I said, we'll be back maybe it'll be a little bit different for a little while, but at some point we'll be back to normal. So the quicker we all get on board with it, the sooner we can get back and watch these games live and cheer on these players and give them the attention and the atmosphere that they deserve, because they've been working really hard too. The coaches and players deserve a lot of credit because they have made a ton of sacrifices during this season to give us college basketball and to have a season in college football, and just a ton of sacrifice.
Coming up tonight, or mentioned earlier by Brendan Sweeney, the Iowa Hawkeyes, number 3 Iowa Hawkeyes taking on the Western Iowa Leathernecks. Man, I love that. But what did he say? How many points spread was that?
36, I think. 36 points.
Jeez, that's just a lot of. Oh well. Also going to see Kansas in action. Both of those games are at 8 o'clock tonight. Kansas, they're taking on Washington. That ought to be a decent game.
Yeah.
Washington's pretty good. Kansas 2-1 on the season. They just beat Kentucky the other day. Kentucky, starting the season 2-1. I had said that they were 0-2, but they're actually 2-1. I think they beat Morehead State. This football season has been crazy from the standpoint of, and I talked about this before we went. What was it going to be like not having fans as far as the impact of results? And I think there has been a resounding the impact when we come back. I hope that people understand when you go to Ohio State or Michigan or Penn State or Tennessee, these places that have 90 to 100 plus thousand people in those stands, if you think that is not worth 10 points, you're out of your mind. I mean, you're at a disadvantage right from the start when you have to deal with that. And I mean a serious disadvantage. And you wonder why the Michigans of the world have been so dominant for so long. How many 100-seat stadiums are there in college football? There's not many. So there's not many teams that can sustain that unless you have that. And, man, I'm telling you, that is a gigantic reason of why those programs can continue to sustain themselves.
Right. And you talk about Assembly Hall for basketball being a kind of a mecca for college basketball. You know, these stadiums, most of the 100,000 seat stadiums reside in the Big Ten. I mean, you have the Horseshoe in Columbus, you have Happy Valley, Beaver Stadium in Penn State and Michigan Stadium. And that's why they're able to that's a reason why they're able to get so many high profile recruits. And so I think it's important, you know, we talked about this last year. When Indiana, when these things lift, they need to pack Memorial Stadium because they need not only the results on the field, does that help recruiting, but if you have 4- and 5-star guys that are starting to get interested in Indiana and they go to a packed Memorial Stadium, that's a beautiful venue, by the way. They see a packed Memorial Stadium, that's going to bring in some interest. That's people go to Penn State because of the whiteout. They go to Ohio State because of that atmosphere. So when things open up, if Indiana wants to continue success, you have to get involvement from the fans. You got to pack Memorial Stadium when the season begins again.
A lot of sneaking in a little information here at the end of the show. How about this for some breaking news? BYU and Coastal Carolina, Saturday, December 5th, 5:30 on ESPNU.
Ooh.
College game day. College game day will be in attendance.
There you go, baby. That's going to be fun.
So,
they had to cancel against Liberty, I guess.
Yeah,
Liberty.
So there you go. There's that. Also, how about last night, Jalen Suggs avoided major injury. That if you were watching that Gonzaga game, I thought he blew his Achilles out. He slipped, he went down, and man, he was in unbelievable pain, grabbing his Achilles, and barely got him off the floor finally. He comes back and played in the game. I'm like, I thought this guy was done for the season, man.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people say that. I missed that game, but I did see a lot of people saying that, you know, 2020 has been bad enough. Let's hope that he's okay and can continue to play. And he's back on the floor, so that's a good sign for Gonzaga.
Absolutely. Number 17, Texas, they beat number 11, North Carolina on the final shot for the Maui Invitational title. So that was fun. Number 7, Kansas finally got past Kentucky a couple days ago, like I said. But all those fun games, let's see what we got coming up this week. Tomorrow, let's see, Friday, Verdell Jones, A.J. Guyton. We got plenty of basketball to talk about, so we'll look forward to doing that. And we'll get ready for the Indiana-Wisconsin game that's coming up on Saturday. Man, that is just a big game. So you think, and this is hard for you to say, oh, man, I wish we got to talk about that Northwestern thing. Northwestern goes down to Michigan State. Are you kidding me? I told you they were fraudulent. I told you they just waited. They went a week longer. I told you.
Yeah, we kept texting, and I said, don't sleep on Northwestern. And you said, I don't think they're as good as you think. And you were right. They let it slip. They blew it to Michigan State, but That I still, man, I'm hoping for. I know we won't see Michael Penix, but I hope we see Indiana Northwestern because I want to see Peyton Ramsey. I want to see that matchup. That would be a really, really good football game.
Yeah, and Indiana will most likely win the Big Ten championship if that's the case. Think about that. Hey, seriously, before we get out of here, Tom Allen had put those crazy goals down.
Yep.
Winning the Big Ten championship, all that, and everybody's laughing. Yeah. What if he does it in his second, third, fourth year, man? You're going to be, are you kidding me? It is very possible. Craziness.
And I have to throw this out. Imagine Tom Allen, one of the lowest paid coaches in the Big Ten. He wins a Big Ten title before Jim Harbaugh, one of the highest paid coaches in the nation. That's insane to think about. Insane.
That is nuts. So I hope everybody had a great day. I cannot thank everybody enough. Thanks a lot, of course, to Dustin Schutte, as always. Brendan Sweeney, of course, we appreciate him as well. And, of course, our producer, Will. We'll look forward to being back here tomorrow. Verdell Jones, AJ Guyton, Alec Lasley from the Hoosiers. We'll have plenty of Indiana basketball to talk about, and we'll get you ready for the Indiana-Wisconsin game, coming up on Saturday. Until tomorrow, make sure you please go out and do something nice for somebody. Wear your mask. And until then, thanks a lot, Dustin. Go out and have a great day. I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio. All righty, boys.
Boom, baby. All right.